In a world where sports rule all, yet no one can play any, a courageous group of students attempted the impossible. To actually use the studio. Who is this mysterious group? Well, according to this script, they're called the Rambler Sports Locker.
Wine, cheese, and the sports locker. All things that clearly get better with age. Thanks for joining us on the day we crack the seal on Season 6 and celebrate our golden anniversary with our 50th episode. I'm Joe Flaherty.
And I am Jillian Schwartz. So for this special golden occasion, I decided it would be most fitting to don my special golden pants.
So special, you had to say it twice, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. Well, anyway, we have quite a few blasts from the past 49 installments lined up for you today, but first, got to catch you up to speed on what happened this week now, don't we?
Yes.
Okay, again. Men's basketball hosted the Indiana State Sycamores last night in their second and final matchup of the season. Year one in the Missouri Valley has been rough for the Ramblers, but the friendly confines of Gentile have provided some relief. They were 6-2 at home heading into last night's tilt. Let's go to the highlights. Coach Moser's jacket came off pretty early in this one as his team gave up a 10-0 run in the first half. Ramblers were down 3 with less than a minute to go in the first when Jeff White beats the buzzer to cut the lead to 1, or did he? After looking it over, the refs determined that, yep, White's hand left the ball before the backboard turned red, making it a good basket. The Ramblers stayed in this one in the second half thanks to plays like this jumper from Christian Thomas. He finished tonight with 11. How about Milton Doyle putting down from beyond the arc? He finished with a game-high 20. The Ramblers got in foul trouble late, and the Sycamores made their last 5 foul shots to ice it. Loyola drops a close one, 65-61. And after the game, Coach Moser wasn't too happy with how his team handled the ball.
We had some soft turnovers. We have a couple guys that are playing that are giving us soft turnovers. And you just don't see those. You just don't see that. And we've got to clean that up.
That loss, the Ramblers have dropped 7 of the last 9 and brings their conference record to 2-5. The men's team will wrap up their 4-game homestand with a Saturday evening matchup against Northern Iowa.
Well, on the women's side, there is a new Rambler on the block. We just won't see her for a while. Purdue transfer Taylor Manuel will have to wait until next fall to step onto the court due to eligibility rules. But the former Big Ten All-Freshman center had a chance to see what the future could hold as the Ramblers beat up on the Bradley Braves last weekend at home. The Ramblers got off to a slow start in this game, allowing the Braves to jump out to an early 5-point lead. But the Ramblers clawed their way back in, led by sophomore guard Becca Smith. Smith hit 3 three-pointers on the afternoon, including this one that made the score 22-14 midway through the first half. Loyola not only lit up the scoreboard, but also had a few defensive highlights as well. Molly Crosby recorded 4 blocks in the game, while Troy Hambrick notched her 5th career double-double, ending the game with 20 points and 12 rebounds. The Braves fought back in the second half, going on an 18-6 run, cutting the Ramblers' lead to 9. Loyola refused to give up, however, using strong defense and shooting performances from Smith and Katie Fott to maintain their lead. Smith finished with a game-high 24 points as the Ramblers went on to win 73-63. So that win pushes their conference record to 3-2 and brings them to 7-10 overall. The Ramblers will look to make it 3 straight this Saturday night when they travel to Des Moines, Iowa to take on the Drake Bulldogs. And you know, I hear Des Moines is actually beautiful this time of year. I was there for a spring break of '09. Oh,
spring break, yeah. Is that right? Strange. Why Des Moines?
The landscapes mostly. It's beautiful. The terrain.
Okay, you know what? Sometimes I wonder, do you ever listen to yourself talk, or is it just random nothings?
You know, it's a healthy dose of both.
Okay.
Joseph, thank you for asking.
I'd say we have a different definition of healthy, but I digress. You know who's playing healthy?
Who's that?
Hey, there's a transition for you. It's Troy Hambrick. College Sports Madness took a look at her stats and said, yep, you were the best in the Valley for the week that ended on the 19th. It's the first time that the senior has earned the honor in what has been a stellar swan song for her so far. The week was highlighted by that double-double against Bradley we showed you earlier. That performance added to her team-leading marks of 16.4 points and 7.3 rebounds per game.
And Gentile's other tenants spent the weekend holding down the fort. The men's volleyball team is doing all the right things to hang on to their #2 national ranking. On Friday, they made quick work of Erskine, taking down the Flying Fleet in straight sets. The next day, they looked to do the same against the Mount Olive Trojans in the final match of their 5-game homestand. The Ramblers got off to a hot start, beginning their first set with 3 points off of a Joe Smalzer kill and a Thomas Jeske ace. Mount Olive tried to fight back, but the Ramblers were dominant, and Nick Olson kill put them up 16-8. Loyola would go on to win the first set 25-9. The second set got off to a better start for Mount Olive as they took an early lead, but that was as close as they would come to the Ramblers, who regained control before winning the set 25-11 behind kills from Olson, Jeske, and Smalzer. The Ramblers then refused to look back, winning the third set 25-9. Jeske ended the day with 10 kills, 2 digs, and 2 service aces, leading the Ramblers to victory. For his exploits over the weekend, Olson was named MIVA Defensive Player of the Week for the second time this season. He averaged just over 2 blocks per set and was no slouch on offense either, recording a career-high 10 kills against the Trojans. The Ramblers are headed out east this weekend for their first road trip of the season. Their first stop is in Fairfield, Connecticut to take on Sacred Heart, and then they'll travel to Cambridge, Massachusetts to finish up their weekend against number 13 Harvard.
Track and field teams didn't have to travel far at all to make their mark last weekend, as both the men's and women's teams had impressive showings at the Illini Classic down in Champaign. Stop me if you heard this one before, but junior Sam Penzenstadler made it to the winner's circle. He won the 800-meter title with a time of just over 1 minute and 52 seconds, more than a full second ahead of second place. Fellow junior Kevin Glasstetter continued the winning ways for the Ramblers by taking the 600-meter title with a time just under 1 minute and 20. Loyola's men's team had 7 other top 10 finishes on the weekend. As for the women, freshman Audrey Michelson highlighted a trio of Ramblers in the top 10 for the women's 800-meter. She finished 5th with a time just under 2 minutes and 17 seconds. And on the field side of things, men's sophomore Keegan Potts broke his own school record in the pole vault, clearing a height of 4.35 meters. Now the track and field teams are hoping to stay hot
by taking their practices outdoors into the cold. Stephanie Buffamonte caught up with the teams to see how training out in this polar vortex could pay dividends for the Ramblers.
Despite snowy training conditions, the men's indoor track and field team had a successful weekend at the Illini Classic.
We took most of our athletes, and so it was a good starting point just to see where everyone was from winter training and starting to get into the competitive mode. So a lot of the athletes didn't run their main event, but it was good to get them on the track and back in a competitive atmosphere.
Junior Sam Penzenstadler won the 800-meter event a full second ahead of the second-place runner. He attributed his win to the team's intense winter training.
The last 400 meters of the race, I pushed it pretty hard, and so I got a pretty good distance on that Illinois guy who took second, and I negative split the race, so I went out in a 56 and came back in a low 56. So it was a good race, and it was a good split. Did a lot more winter training than in the past. It's hard with the snow and the cold to get all the workouts and everything that was needed to be done. So this winter I focused on that a lot.
I'm doing a lot of multi-event training, so I'm looking at hurdles and long jump and high jump, and a lot of that has to do with body control and knowing where you are and keeping good posture in a neutral spine position. And a lot of that can carry over to pole vault as well through the plant and takeoff, and all of it is very similar. So I think that's been very helpful for me.
This Friday, the team will head to Indiana University for a 2-day event. Potts is hopeful the extra on-site training and better facilities will benefit the team's performance.
This meet is, in my opinion, slightly better track. U of I has great facilities as well, but Indiana's track is banked. So I'm expecting to see better competition, more teams, and I think that the guys from who I've talked to so far are very excited about it, myself included.
Kropp hopes the team will continue to progress throughout the season to make their inaugural year in the Missouri Valley Conference one to remember.
We're in the Missouri Valley Conference, so we definitely want to go in and have a strong performance team-wise and individually within that meet, and then also on the national level get as many athletes as we can to the national meet, both indoor and outdoor.
For the Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Stephanie Buffamonte.
successful showing at this weekend's Gladstein Invitational, Indiana could mean more outdoor practices in store for the Ramblers. Because you know what they say, if it ain't broke, leave it outside in the cold.
Right.
The two-day event will begin January 24th.
Well, there will be plenty of things left out in the cold next month in New Jersey during Super Bowl 48. But are frigid temps really all that big a deal to athletes, or just for the fans who won't be able to use their fingers to tweet during the game? Alison Krakowiak asked some Rambler athletes for their take on playing alongside Old Man Winter.
While students and staff are buried in snow here in Chicago, there's one event that is sure to warm any football fan's heart. The Super Bowl. Normally we'd be preparing to watch Marshawn Lynch go into beast mode for the Seattle Seahawks and Peyton Manning lead his record-setting offense in a nice, warm climate. However, the venue for this year's game is New Meadowlands Stadium in frozen New Jersey. It's looking like it will be the coldest since Super Bowl VI in 1972. We asked some of Loyola's own if they think the weather will be a factor in the game.
I'm hoping for snow, just to kind of stick it to the NFL a little bit, maybe. You know, you get Peyton Manning, and it's the greatest quarterback of all time, potentially, and I'm hoping for a foot of snow during the game, but we'll see.
It's cold outside. We're really unable to do a lot of stuff we want to do, so we're unable to do a lot of fast stuff because your muscles can't be warm enough to really be like max performance, can't run as fast at max velocity.
Chances are the weather is not going to be the best at the Super Bowl. However, these members of the athletic department still believe that their team will pull out the win.
I'm taking the Broncos. I think the Broncos pull it out unless you get that foot of snow. Fingers crossed. In which case, I think the Seahawks might be able to do it.
Definitely the Broncos, because I grew up in Indiana, and I've been a Colts fan for my entire life. And Peyton Manning, even though he left, will always have a special place in my heart.
I'm actually from Denver, Colorado, so I'm like one of the biggest Broncos fans you can imagine.
Whichever team ends up winning, Richard Sherman has one thing to say.
I'm the best quarter in the game. When you try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you won't get.
For the Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Alison Krakowiak.
Quick, Jillian, Super Bowl pick. 3, 2, 1, go.
Adrian Peterson.
Okay, yeah, somehow I knew you were going to say that. You know what? I'm going with the Seahawks because the defense plays in the cold. Kristina, real quick, who you got in the game?
Joe, I'm going to have to agree with you. I'm going with the Seahawks as well.
All right.
You guys are both wrong. It's going to be Adrian Peterson
I'm
for sure.
pretty sure we're right. Richard Sherman's the best. You can't beat him. All right, so what do you got for us today, Kristina?
On this day, 70 years ago, the Detroit Red Wings did some serious editing to the NHL record book. On January 23, 1944, the Red Wings blasted the New York Rangers 15-0 in the most lopsided affair in NHL history. Their 15 consecutive goals, 37 points, and 8-goal third period all set records at the time. The Wings' rookie goalie, Connie Dion, could have stayed home that night. He only had to stop 9 shots in his first career shutout.
Well, seems like their positivity was all in the past because is Detroit still bankrupt or?
You know what? I'm pretty sure that's true.
Yeah. So. Thanks, Kristina. Well, that'll just about do it for the sports news we have in the present. Now it's time to get all nostalgic about our past.
Hi, it's me again. Apparently, there was more I had to say. We're now joined by some of the founding fathers of this country. Wait, I mean this show. Sit back and enjoy what these historical figures have to say in this edition of Between Two Balls.
Hey everybody, it's some of your favorite throwback cast members of Rambler Sports Locker, the originals, the OGs. It's so exciting to be back and see all the fresh new faces, but we really wanted to talk about some of our favorite Rambler Sports Locker moments, and if you would have given me a second, Steve Manney, I would have introduced you, but since you're so on the ball, I see you got that covered. Right. I'm Maura Guthrie.
I'm Brendan Bond, and yes, we are sharing a mic right now. That's how we roll.
We share everything here.
Garrison Carr.
I'm Steve Manney, and he was my boss. Oh, I don't need a mic. We have.
And they already have mics, but I'm having so much fun with this handheld one. I'm just gonna keep leaning over everybody. So, yeah. Okay. So who wants to talk first about their favorite RSL moment?
Oh, start with Brendan. Start with me. That's fine.
Oh yeah, let's just start with Steve-O.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
well, let's go one way or the other.
All right, go ahead.
All right.
He nominated himself.
Okay. Anyway, I don't want to be the last one. You'll remember that. One time I remember we had. I'm trying to figure out what camera to look at. We had an athlete come and do an interview on the desk, and I thought she was kind of cute, and I said something over the intercom. And the camera people can hear what I say on the intercom, but the people on desk can't. But we had a camera person, Nick Amatangelo, was on there and decided to repeat what I said so that everyone, including her, could hear it. And it was the most uncomfortable I ever felt in my life. I had to say bye to her and like shake her hand, and never spoke to her ever again after that.
Needless to say, there was no first date.
No, there was not. It was not. It was rough.
I think my favorite / embarrassing moment would be, I can't remember who we were interviewing, but I had forgotten dress slacks. They were at home down in Indianapolis, and so I thought that's not a big deal. You can't see the lower half of somebody under the desk, so I just tucked my dress shirt into like khaki shorts. And so it was fine. You cannot tell on the video. However, I didn't take into account just how idiotic I looked like in front of everyone. And Brendan was kind enough to point that out to everyone repeatedly and remind me of that.
I'm pretty sure they're athletic shorts too, not khaki shorts.
No.
Yeah, I think they're athletic shorts.
No, that's wrong.
They were swishy khaki shorts.
That's slander, Brendan.
Maura.
That's it.
Yeah, Maura.
Biggest fashion faux pas.
Maura's favorite Rambler Sports Locker moment is anytime she has a microphone in her hand.
Well, I'm not going to say that's not true. So, but actually, there's so many good memories. I was just thinking about the time that Ralph paraded us all out onto the middle of Michigan Ave.
Onto Michigan Avenue.
Literally onto Michigan Ave to do a photo shoot with us. But who else would do that besides Ralph? So we were lucky to have them for that. Yeah, and we had so many good prof picks come out of that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I would say the most standout moment for me would be when Griff and I hosted our final senior episode of RSL, and we said, "Don't forget to turn off the lights." And then the lights went off, and Griff and I hugged and cried, and it was just beautiful. And it was like my whole life flashed before my eyes in that moment.
And Professor Brown ordered pizza for everybody.
That was awesome. So, anytime pizza's involved. Right? So, yeah. Brendan.
Again, sharing the mics. Oh, man. There's so many great memories there. One of my favorite memories was my senior year. So last year we did a Halloween episode, and we all dressed up as Anchorman. And, of course, Nick Amatangelo, previously mentioned, he got a wig to go as Ron Burgundy, and we realized he didn't even need the wig. His hair was perfect as it was. But he also had a mustache, and halfway through the show, the mustache starts drooping, and he starts talking like this to keep the mustache on. That was pretty good. Or the time where they gave me a segment at the end of the show next to a fireplace, not a real one, a fake one, but it was awesome. And I had to sit and talk, and they gave me 3 minutes. And I'm just sitting there, and halfway through, I'm like, I don't know even what to say right now. I'm just going to say words, and hopefully it times out perfectly.
And you filled that like a champ, though.
I know.
The whole thing.
It somehow timed out perfectly. I've never gone back and watched it because I don't even know what I said. But it was one of those things where I was like, yes, I just dominated that. So, yeah, at least my mustache didn't fall off because I wasn't trying to wear a fake mustache. Who does that?
Yeah.
He's getting into character. Well, boys, gentlemen of the Rambler Sports Locker, thank you for sharing your memories. And
no problem.
I hope you guys enjoyed this TBT, if you will. So hope to be back soon. Anybody else want to say any final words?
Thank you for 50 great episodes for these three and everyone else that's been involved. It's been a lot of fun for me, and I'm sure it's fun for everybody that's still involved.
It's nice to have a legacy, isn't it, Garrison?
Yeah. Kudos to Garrison for really getting this thing rolling. I have one thing to say. I've been hearing that I have a memorial podium. I just want to say I'm not dead, so somebody want to check into that.
And that's going to do it for us now. So back to y'all.
Oh, yeah. Straight to the top of that group, I tell you. But, even a Hall of Famer can miss 7 times out of 10 at the plate. And luckily for us here at the Locker, we've got a bunch of those strikeouts caught on camera, don't we, Bridget?
Yeah, to be honest, it was tough cutting the number of clips down to 3.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But, anyways, on the Rambler Sports Locker, we tend to make a lot of predictions. Most of the time, we make some good ones, and then sometimes, well, let's just say not everybody's perfect. In honor of our 50th episode, we look back at the top 3 worst predictions made by some of our favorite Rambler Sports Locker alums. At number 3, we have Brendan Bond. Way back in the fall of 2012, Brendan predicted that the Chicago White Sox would beat the Detroit Tigers in the AL Central. Let's take a look.
Best day the Sox and the Tigers play each other in the season. So the Sox don't have to play the Tigers the rest of the way. They have to play all the other teams in baseball, who they can easily beat. I'm going to say they win the division. They hold off the trip.
While Brendan does have a solid argument, the results of that season kind of skewed against him. Not only would the Tigers win the AL Central by 3 games, they would go on to the World Series, where eventually they fell to the San Francisco Giants. The Tigers would then go on to dominate the AL Central again this past season. At number 2, our second worst prediction belongs to Mary Sugden. Mary was just another hopeful Bulls fan when she made this prediction, so we can't hold too much against her.
I agree with you on this one. I think there's no doubt that the Bulls are going to make it to the 2nd or 3rd seed. Definitely behind Miami, obviously. But you've got a player like Derrick Rose, which, yes, right now he's hurt. But a guy like that, he's sitting on the sideline right now watching his team. You know that when he comes out of the gates, he's going to be ready to go. So I think the second that he comes out, which is probably going to be sometime in February, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with. And when it comes to playoff times, I think it's going to be Bulls all the time.
Unfortunately for the Bulls, Derrick Rose did not return in February. He did not even return at all that season for the Bulls. Instead, they entered the playoffs as the number 5 seed and then lost 4-1 to the Heat in the 2nd round of the playoffs. Good news for Mary and our fellow Bulls fans, Rose did make his return this season. Oh, wait, sorry, never mind.
Really?
Sorry. At number 1, our number 1 worst sports soccer prediction goes all the way back to September 2011, when a young quarterback named Tim Tebow entered the NFL. At the time, the Sports Locker's own Pat Luongo stashed Tebow on his fantasy bench, hoping that Tebow could be his team's savior.
When the Broncos wise up and get that, Orton out of there, and they put in my boy Tim Tebow, who's also he's also growing mold on my bench. Yeah. He's wearing the cap, but hey, you know what? When he comes in, he's going to throw for, 400 yards, 500 yards in his debut, right off the bench, and you guys will never hear the end of it.
Lucky for Pat, Tebow did eventually come in as Denver's starting quarterback, leading them all the way to the AFC divisional round, where they then got clobbered by the New England Patriots. Pat loses this contest when looking at Tebow's long-term future. Just 2 years removed from that magical playoff season, Tebow is no longer in the NFL after being released by 3 different teams. He is also one of the biggest jokes in professional sports right now. Pat, unfortunately, could not join us today. He's probably home Tebowing and waiting for the return.
You know what, Bridget, he's probably at home, DVRing a bunch of the SEC network because,
His favorite channel.
Tebow's on there as an analyst now. You know what? That's
Guys,
a
I just wish that Brendan was here to see all of this.
What do you mean? He was just in that interview segment with Megan and Audrey.
Well, then why do we have that podium that's dedicated to him in his memory?
Well, that was okay. Actually, we don't really have an answer to that question. But actually, you know what? I think we got special guests on this week's Ramble that are it's gonna brighten your spirit a little bit.
What?
Yeah. Let's take a look.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Ramble. I'm Brendan Bond. Apparently, I'm the special guest, and this is my memorial podium. Yeah.
That's your podium.
It shouldn't really be a memorial podium. I'm still alive. Just throwing that out there for clarification. I'm back from a 9-month sabbatical into the world of post-graduation to take us through the Weekly Ramble this week. To my left is Nick Amatangelo. To my right is Chris Lehman. You guys know the drill. I ask you some questions. You give me answers. I give out points. Simple, right? All right. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Absolutely. First question. Apparently, when I graduated, Loyola decided to join the Missouri Valley Conference. So it's been half a year now in the Valley. What's been the best part about joining the Valley for Loyola? Nick, Chris.
Whoa! Well, I think the best thing about it so far, none of the teams, with the exception of the cross-country team, have been exceptionally successful. But this is a long-term goal, not a short-term thing. And so we're working on branding our school right now. We're working on building our rep, increasing some revenue so we can have some long-term things, maybe get some better recruits. We got Coach Cheryl Swoops now. And it's just all part of a process to develop our athletic program for the future.
Nick?
Well, the one thing that I'm most excited for hasn't actually happened yet. It's the Arch Madness tournament in St. Louis. Now, it is the first time, at least in recent memory, that the conference tournament for Loyola's basketball conference is going to be in one centralized location. In the Horizon League, it was at a bunch of other locations. Whoever had the higher seed hosted the game. Doesn't matter what seed you are, everyone's coming together in St. Louis at the Scottrade Center. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited. It's going to be great.
I think he's excited.
You excited? Really?
Yeah.
I will admit, Arch Madness, super exciting and stuff like that. But what Chris was saying, it sounds like we get more money for
more money
for reading the Valley. So to imitate Johnny Manziel here, let's go. That point's going to Chris.
More money, more problems.
I'm the only problem right now.
Nick, don't worry. We have another question here coming up for you. All right. Some guy named Peyton Manning is going to the Super Bowl, and I guess there are 2 teams playing in it too. But it's Peyton. Does he really need this second ring to validate his status as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL? And where would you guys set him? Is he the best quarterback in the NFL right now? Does he need the ring? What do you guys think?
Well, he's definitely the best in the NFL right now. Just look at the season he's had. Just record-setting numbers, passing yards, touchdowns. He is the real deal. I think he doesn't need the ring to be, top 10 all time, but if he gets the ring, that'll just instantly put him, top 2 or 3, maybe even top 1 if he gets one more to end his career. So I think that he definitely has the chance to be the greatest of all time.
You say top 2 or 3. Who would you put ahead of him?
Montana.
Montana? All right, I can get that. Chris?
I can't argue with Joe. I have a hard time deciding who the best quarterback of all time is. It's not something that you can really pick. If you want, stats, you go Manning. You want playoff appearances, Super Bowl appearances, you go Brady or Montana. There's really no way to determine that. So we leave that alone. And we say that the question is, does him winning a second ring change that? And I don't feel like it does. That's what everyone said after he got his first ring. And then people started saying the same thing. Oh, he's only won 1 ring. He needs another one. He's going to win 2. People are going to say, oh, Montana had 4. So then when does Peyton Manning get his 4th ring? And I don't think the rings necessarily have anything to do with it. Yeah, it'll obviously help his legacy, but Peyton Manning's legacy has already been made.
Oh, man. Yes. Those are 2 really good answers.
Yeah!
I honestly, because Peyton helped me win a fantasy championship this year, I want to give myself the point, but I don't think I can do that.
That'll be a first.
That would be a first.
You know what? I'm going to give myself a point here. I'm going to give myself a point. I won a fantasy championship with Peyton. I'm going to spell my name here. All right, so that means that
we have a tiebreaker.
We have a tiebreaker. Well, in the event of a tiebreaker, I ask a trivia question. So I'm going to ask a trivia question. All right. The Winter Olympics are coming up. 2010 was the last time the Winter Olympics happened. U.S. had 37 medals as a team. How many of them are gold? Chris, your answer.
18.
All right, my answer is 9, and that's the correct answer. I win. Thank you. Thank you for playing.
We are not worthy.
Thank you for playing. Thank you guys at the desk.
See, I told you he wasn't dead.
Well, you didn't hear? Actually, over the last 49 episodes, we've been perfecting the art of holograms.
Okay.
So.
Honestly, how'd you get into this school?
Unless I'm just a hologram too.
Okay, why did I even believe that? Okay, all right.
You know what I believe in? Social media. So don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter using the lovely handles you see below.
And you know what? Get ready to check out our brand spanking new website at RamblerSportsLocker.com, coming soon to an internet near you. In the meantime, let's say we make a date, me and you.
You're asking me on a date?
Maybe later.
Okay.
We'll meet right here for the next 50 weeks and do all this again. How about that?
50 straight weeks wouldn't even make sense. There's like spring break and Easter break. I mean,
you get what I'm saying. Why do I have to explain myself? Anyway, I'm just glad you could spend the first 50 with us, and maybe we could do this 50 more times. In the meantime, I'm Joe Flaherty.
And I'm Jillian Schwartz. Yeah. Thanks for stopping by the locker, and don't forget to turn out the lights.
You know what I meant.